Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Wednesday, December 3rd. It is 6:26 right now. We got market opening up in about 4 minutes. I'm looking at market right now. It's very, very choppy, like not moving choppy. Um, I stepped away for like about 5 minutes or so and it was moving downwards and then it went really flat right here. I'm not sure why, but we are building up to market open here. It's just a little odd to see, you know. I mean, I can't even draw structure here because it's so choppy. I'm not even gonna bother. I guess I could draw two lines here, but it's like there's no point in drawing, a box there, I guess. Or I guess I can. Let me see. It's just really, really, it's really small to the point where I don't know it's gonna make a difference. But yeah, guys, morning everybody. Market's gonna open up shortly. We got the opening move in a few. If you guys are looking to take the breakout's gonna be in the direction of momentum. So here's one thing I posted in the Discord last night. So these are like some metrics that I found. Maybe this is something we can run with our testing too, Message, to identify target entries. So this right here is an example of what I would consider a really good entry. So if you look over here, I'm not going to give you the exact time for this entry. This is a target entry for later today, but looking at this has a max drawdown equity of 7.51%. So you can see over here, max drawdown, you want something that's less than 10%. That meets the criteria. The win rate above 50 or 60, this is the overall. It's about 60%, so that's pretty good. And then the profit factor, you want it to be above greater than 1.5. Right here it's 2.251. Typically above 2 is going to be great, or pretty good, and anything above 1.5 is going to be okay. So I think if we can run the statistics on something like this, instead of having the percentages for buy and for sell and just having a specific direction, I think just going with momentum and having this type of criteria could work really well. For this specific entry here, we do have a direction, but we're going to keep making adjustments as we go. But I think this is something that we could maybe look into. Hey, Message, morning. Morning, Mendez. Morning, Daniel. Morning, Darren. Morning, CJ. Morning, Barack. Yeah, Message said, yes, that's already in my criteria. Don't worry. I think I tried to think of everything. That's why it takes so much API costs. Yeah, I figured you thought of it. I was already looking, like we were already looking at this, basically like going for the trades that are in a specific direction. This already comes up because my minimum win rate's already 50%. The other things that just don't kind of align would be the max drawdown and the profit factor, of course, but a lot of these typically line up with it anyways. So good to know. Paul's asking if anybody's taking the 629. For me personally, I'm not going to. I haven't taken the breakout in a long time. If you guys do want to take it, it's going to be a buy, of course. I don't have to tell you that because everybody knows it's going to be with momentum. Right now, it's actually with momentum. For a while, it was against, but it is with momentum. So if you guys want to take that entry there, feel free. Uh, I'll just put this right here. Strategy, minimum criteria. All right, so we got the first entry coming up here shortly. If anybody's looking to take that, market's going to open right about now. And there we go. Market is open. Surprisingly, really, really slow. I mean, it's fine. Sometimes it's really slow like that. Today's algo entries. It kind of depends on like what you want your TP stop loss to be as well when you guys enter these trades. I mean, I don't have a target entry for a while. I mean, this is technically a target entry, but I'm not taking it because I don't ever take the open for the obvious reasons, right? I mean, depending on what you guys want to use for it, I don't think a 40-20 is really that good. I think usually people want to go for something like a 50-50 because it's so wide, or I mean, so choppy. Sometimes even like an 80-40 in a sense. We looked at 80-40. 80-40 is actually pretty good. If you still want to do that 1 to 2. But again, it's just really up to your own preference, right? If you want to do 40-20, 50-50, 80-40, it's really up to you. Surprisingly, the market's really, really slow today. I don't know why is it this slow. There's news today, 7 o'clock. There was news pre-market at 5:15, 5:30, etc. And then there's more news coming up right here at 7 o'clock. It's ISM Services PMI. It's inflation news. The crazy thing about this week is that it is NFP week, but there's no NFP data scheduled for Friday. So that's unusual. Really, really odd that they decided, not to announce NFP news. They said they didn't have enough data, but go figure. All right, so the 40 points hit already, it looks like. If you guys took that right there, or it's about to. So there goes there you go, full TP on the 629 entry. So if you took the algo entry at 629, we already had this identified last night. If you guys want to take the algo entries, they're all listed on the Discord. So I'm not posting the algo entries on the chart, but if you guys wanted to, or if you guys did take this, go ahead and take a look at it. That trade right there, one for 2R. So we're currently at 2R for the day. One win, zero losses, plus 2R. Currently at 2R right now. Next entry is going to come up in about 10-ish minutes or so. Hey, Lamar, morning. Yeah, Lamar said good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone enjoyed the holiday. Yeah, I know, I'm glad to be back, right? I had to travel for the holiday. I'm traveling again this week, guys. So I think majority of you guys are here so far. Just a heads up, guys, there's going to be no live trading session tomorrow. I am going to be traveling internationally, so I got to be at the airport. I got to leave by 2. I got to be at the airport by 4, and I'm flying out at 6. So my flight's right at 6 o'clock. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go live. I'll be in the air by the time we're supposed to go live. I'll send a list of algo entries, but I'm not um, going to be taking them. Oh, Masij, I mean, if you want to send them, if you know if that's not a problem, you can send them, and I can if I forget or if I get kind of tied up with time, um, we can just use yours. But I'll try to get them out before. Yeah, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Masij. I appreciate that. So just one day this week. So tomorrow I won't be trading live because the time conflicts. Friday I will be in Mexico already, so I will have. Hopefully, I have good internet connection. I'm staying at a resort, so we should have internet connection, and I'll try to be trading live with you guys on Friday. I don't think Friday should be a problem. So just one day. Um, but I will provide you guys with the algo list so that you guys can take entries. Message said I would not trade on hotel internet. Yeah, I'm probably not going to trade, but I'll probably go live. So I'll be following and I'll be looking for entries, but I'm probably not going to be trading on my own accounts. Yeah. No, this happened. I went to like a really high-end resort, I think for my honeymoon last summer. And yeah, the internet connection there, it was a good internet connection, but it was so choppy. It was so choppy. I paid like extra for the like high speed or whatever. Internet was fast, but it was really spotty where I would get disconnected and whatnot. Thanks, CJ. Yeah, I'm only gone for like a couple days. I'm going for a wedding. Going to Mazatlan, Mexico. So it'll be fun. I mean, I'm doing so much traveling. I've been traveling every single week. Last week for Thanksgiving, this week for the wedding, probably again for Christmas, but hopefully we get some trades in today and this week because we talked about this yesterday, guys. Um, I feel like October was such a good month to us that like November, although we didn't really lose anything, right? Because we look at our calendar here, like November, we didn't have a losing month, so. The only thing is we didn't have a lot of trades, and it's crazy because I think this is the least amount of trades I've ever taken in a month, right? If you guys have traded with me for a while, you guys know I've always taken trades. Like October was just I think it was too good, and we were getting used to taking a bunch of entries pretty much every day, and going into November here is just nothing here. So I haven't taken any trades at all for this month so far. I tried to take a trade yesterday, so you guys were on the live session yesterday. We try to get into that one entry. Unfortunately, we didn't get our order filled. It was for or actually no, it was at 650. So there was a good entry that came up at 655 yesterday. There was no entry on that one because of the momentum. One thing that I realized or that I noticed, Masish, and we'll look at it right now because there's no entries coming up. But one thing that I realized is that if we have a lot of momentum kind of popping up in one area, around our entry point, it's better to just sit it out. So look at this right here, Masish. So we had this entry at 655. I know you weren't on here, but we were looking for this here to close, right? And I told everyone, if this doesn't close with the sell signal, then we're going to take the buy. Unfortunately, this thing closed at the last second with the sell signal, so we had to skip the trade. This trade would have won. This is the 655 that came up, and this trade would have won pretty nicely, right? Here's a problem at 656 because there was a back-to-back entry of 655, 656. Um, this over here was with momentum as well because we had this like random sell signal that you'd have to take the sell there even though we wanted to take the buy. So with that being the case, I think if we ever see something like this where there's like multiple momentums that come up, like say for example the first one doesn't come up, it's a no entry, and then we have this one that comes up, I think it's best to just sit it out because I could have jumped into it, but I didn't, of course. Well, there was just no entry there, but if I was to jump into it, it it would have been, you know, tricky entry to get into because of the specifics that were involved. So just something to keep in mind, guys. So we don't really see this very often where the momentums kind of overlap like this. You can see they're kind of spread out. We have sell momentum, buy momentum, etc. Once it becomes choppy, like something like this right here, obviously this is choppy, right? Sell momentum, buy momentum, where they're not spread out. Um, And that's like where discretion has to come in some instances. So just something to keep in mind. Nothing super important to be worried about, but that's just something that I've noticed this from the start of, trading, but with this specific algo, I think it identifies that the market's choppy and we probably shouldn't get into something at a time like that. Yeah, I think we'll just have to set like I guess how many candles between momentum signals, right? So it's not super, super difficult, but or nothing super complicated. Yeah, yeah, I think that's great. Three is perfect. At least three, yeah. Yeah, so looking over here pre-market, you guys can kind of see this right here too. Whenever you have momentum that kind of overlap, like what we just talked about, market doesn't go anywhere, right? So like buy a signal, sell signal, buy a signal, goes up a little bit, then sell signal, buy, sell right after each other. It's just choppy, choppy, choppy. And then when they start to spread out, like this one over here, buy signal, pushes up pretty nicely. Sell signal right here pushes down pretty nicely, right? It's usually a good sign. So just a couple things there to look at. Yeah, Masij said I think it's fine. Yes, three is minimum, has a higher weight for larger trends and have more distance between signals. Okay, perfect. No, it's great. Yeah, iPhone said have fun, but just use the mobile hotspot. Yeah, that's what I usually do if I'm entering. So if I do enter some trades, I'll probably use a mobile hotspot. When I'm streaming, I'll probably just use the hotel internet. So, all right, guys, we have a couple minutes until the next entry comes up if you guys are looking. So the one thing with well, these are probably going to be two different tests, or like, I think the wider test would probably be the minimum criteria, Masij. And then I think, we could always dig deeper, right? So I think we should have like this would probably be like the wider test. What I've been doing is I've been having like, obviously the bigger list. And then from the bigger list, I kind of chop it down and then add filters to it to like weed out the good from the bad entries. So here, I'll just show you guys real quick without sharing today's entries. Um, okay, which is fine. You're not going to see today's entries. So here's kind of what I mean by that. So I think with the minimum criteria, Masij, and we don't have to do this now, but I think in the future, probably moving forward, I'll probably use this criteria to get, the bigger list. And then obviously I'll look through it even deeper and then probably pull like the quality entries and then we'll have like the smaller list here. But because for right now, there's two ways of doing it really. The criteria that I'm looking at. The one way is like looking at the what we're doing now is we're looking at the weighted average, right? And then we're having a direction. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, which I think is probably going to be better, is going based off, the minimum criteria, even making this tighter. Like I think this could even be tighter. Like I think the profit factor could even get pushed up to 2. I think to make just a big list, we can use this. And then to make the smaller list of target entries, we can bump this up to like maybe 2, right? Profit factor of 2, and then max drawdown of like maybe 8 or something like that, just to like um, qualify them as target entries. So with that being the case, we really wouldn't have to have a weighted average anymore. And these are just different types of filters. Of course, what we have now is good, but another way of filtering things is we could just take off the weighted percentage, and also take off the direction and just go with momentum, right? So we don't have to like only take buys. If that's the case, then we'll have no entries. We'll have more entries. Um, but then we have to figure out which one has a higher win ratio, right? Win ratio, profit factor, et cetera. Because then we'll kind of dig deeper into that. So just another criteria for us to maybe look at. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So Masij said, yeah, it already has layers when we get the results. I'm going to build an easy to understand website that you can test every single filter yourself and see the data for it so we all can benefit. That's perfect. First test is a large test. We don't need to guess what those criteria will be. I'm telling you, it will test everything. Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm glad that you're going into that with that type of mindset. It's always good to do more of a wider sample, and then add those filters to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. I think that'd be great. Yeah. It's be beneficial to everybody here, of course, right? Especially if you guys have access. One thing I talked to you guys before about like me discussing things with other hedge fund managers and different institutional traders and stuff like that. The biggest thing that they mentioned to me was to not share my edge, right? I know Masih here has been kind of worried about that. So, as we get closer and closer to getting the data, we're gonna probably just have a clean chart for people to see. Obviously, for you guys who have access to the algo, you'll have, your markup chart. And yeah, we'll just have separate live streams, I think. We'll have a separate live stream for the Zoom, and we'll have a separate live stream for the YouTube. It'll just be slightly different. Or I think, yeah, exactly. Masih should I watched a ton of videos on how hedge funds find strategies, learned a lot, and I implemented it to the code so it's ready to deep backtest once second funding wave comes in. Yeah, no, definitely. Missy, and I'll try to get that over to you sooner. We'll talk later. We could probably maybe get it to you like next week. We just got to get those the invoice if possible. It's so annoying. Well, it's not annoying, but I understand like why we need to have the invoices and stuff to, you know, tax it to the business or whatnot. So yeah, I know it's because we're at the end of the year and like all of the taxes are kind of built in. If you guys own a business or if you guys know how businesses work and taxes and stuff like that, um, usually at the end of the year. So right now we're in December. A lot of the books are kind of like baked in already because we're already expecting the year to end. So we kind of like factor in all of our expenses and stuff like that. Where we're trying to get so in order for us to run these tests and get these numbers and get these statistics is we need to pay for the API, right? We need to pay to have the code kind of ran through and get all the data and stuff like this. And I'm trying to get the money to Siege to get this stuff going, but yeah, we kind of have to do it in a way that makes sense for the business. So yeah, okay, Missy, that's perfect. Now let me know. I'll look at your messages in a bit, and then I'll try to get this over to my tax accountant. And I'll try to get all this stuff kind of like sorted out by the end of this week. Because obviously, the sooner we get the data and the sooner we get the information, like the better the trades can be and whatnot. So let's see. All right, guys, we have the entry coming up in a bit. I'm not going to say the exact time, of course. If you guys have the algo, you guys know the entry is coming up soon. The entry does not have a good criteria, right? The one that's coming up, it's just a listed entry. It's not a target entry. So just keep that in mind. If you guys want to take it, feel free. We'll be following it. We have a direction set and whatnot. But yeah, we'll be following it. So you guys will see it come up in a bit, or I'll mark it up for you guys, of course. So the first one was a win. Hey Sam, I just saw your messages here. Yeah, so ADP non-farm employment change was earlier, like at 5:15. Yeah, we have news coming up at 7 o'clock, so something to keep in mind. You said look at the 1 hour candle. Let's take a look. So the 1 hour candle, huge, huge wick on the bottom, right? This is probably going to push up. Yeah, looking at the 1 hour candle right here, this looks like it's going to try to push up. It rejected very strongly off the sessions and off the pivots. So we'll see if this maybe pushes up from there. Thanks, Sam, for the heads up on that one. Let's look at market profile. So market profile over here, this thing's came down pretty strong. Or this isn't market pro. Oh, this is market profile. Here, let me go back a little bit. Okay, so we got price kind of pushing down a little bit. There's a value high from yesterday down here. I'll go on the higher time frame, 30 minute. So it's currently a double bottom right here. So we have a V1 variation setting up right here. This could be a double bottom reversal pattern. It's not right next to each other, but it's pretty close, close enough. But it has double rejections, right? Rejection from the bottom end and rejection from the top end. So this is tricky because price, can either reject off there and come down, or it can reject off here and come right back up. So that's the difference between the 1 hour and the 30 minute. So we got the entry coming up shortly, guys. I'll mark it up for you guys in a few. Nice. Sam said he got the two MPS back to back. Solid. Rapid is asking, good morning. Where do I gain access to the algo trades? So if you want access to the algo trades, there's like a list of entries that will come up. They come up like, here, let me see. I don't want to share it with you guys, but yeah, they come up like this. Basically, if you want all of the algo entries kind of lined up for you. If you want access to just the trades, then you can go to the website here. The website is kodikaitrades.com. Here, I'll just put the link over here. This is if you just want access to the Zoom and the actual list of trades. If you want access to the actual tools to use the algo yourself, you can use that right there, Rapid. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Discord. I don't openly make the algo available to the public, but you're one person, so it's not a big deal. Um, but yeah, those are the two links. If you just want access to the Zoom, you can get access to it there. If you want access to the strategies or the actual algo. But if you want access to this algo right here to do it yourself, you can get access to that yourself as well. So like I said, the entry right here just came up at 647. It wasn't a good entry. Let me put the statistics over here real quick so I can kind of show you real quick what I mean by that. So let me pull this up. I don't think this meets the minimum criteria. That trade was a loss, but obviously I wouldn't have taken that trade there. And I'll show you why, because it doesn't meet the minimum criteria. We're just documenting it so it's on the list, but it's not a target entry. Okay, so let's see. Look at the algo strategy minimum criteria right here, right? So max drawdown, it has to be less than 10%. Look at the max drawdown right here. It's 14.45. So this already doesn't meet the minimum criteria. If you look over here at the win rate, it's 50%. It meets that criteria, but like barely, because it needs to be 50 to 60% or higher. And then the profit factor here isn't met either. So the profit factor has to be greater than 1.5. The profit factor right here is 1.408. So with that being the case, it basically doesn't meet two criterias already. So even though this was a listed entry, it's not an entry that I would have taken because it doesn't meet the minimum criteria. So in a situation like this trade actually probably wouldn't have been on the list to begin with. So just something to keep in mind, and something that I might use moving forward. I think this is really key to have so that we don't get stuck in like bad trades like this, right? We don't take bad trades like this because it shouldn't even be on the list to begin with. But I like having a big list of trades. This isn't from today. This is from yesterday. So don't worry, guys. I'm not sharing this with anybody. But this is from yesterday. I like having a big list of trades, but what I've started to notice more and more is that like it's sometimes it's better not to have a big list of trades. It's better to have a smaller list of trades that are higher quality. So, anyways, that trade right there did not play through, of course. We had one that followed up right after, which was at and I don't even know if these trades should even be listed, to be honest. I don't even think they should be documented because they don't meet the criteria, the minimum criteria that I mentioned right here. See, these would be two back-to-back losses. Let's check the next one right here. So I think for my list of trades, I will probably, and again, this one does not meet the criteria, right? Max drawdown is 10%. This one has a max drawdown of 13%. So this already is out the window because it doesn't meet the first criteria. Profit factor is okay. Win rate is just okay. It's 50%. So because this here doesn't meet the minimum criteria, again, this would be something that would be skipped, right? So I think what I'm going to be doing moving forward is I'll probably use this minimum criteria to even add trades to the list because we don't really want a ton of trades on here, right? We want to have something that's more concise. So with that being the case, moving forward, we'll kind of like use that to determine which trades you want to take because like I said, the we want to have something that meets all the criteria here. We don't really care. Before we initially mainly cared about win ratio. But from talking to other hedge fund managers and talking to and just watching different interviews and stuff, the win rate's actually not it's not a key metric. It's a good metric, but it's not a key metric. The more important metrics would be the max drawdown, because obviously if the max drawdown is too high, there's going to be losing streaks to be aware of and to be concerned with. And the profit factor right here is also important because you want the wins to outweigh the losses, right? So just something to keep in mind. I might have to edit the list a little bit as you move forward, but we do have another trade coming up shortly. So let me just, because now that I look at it, I'm like, damn, I put trades on the list that aren't actually really that good. They're just put on the list just because. So yeah, Rev said, how do you get the green blocks on market profile? So the green blocks are point of control. I think I changed the color on that, Rev. So the settings for my TPO, yeah, I think I changed the settings a little. I think they were black and I changed it to green. These are my settings for the market profile right here. If you want to take a look, um, Rev. Yeah, so these are my settings right here. Okay, I'm gonna be watching real quick to see. I think there's an entry coming up shortly. So we have an entry coming up, but I think it might be a no entry. Yeah, it might be a no entry because of the direction. It's not horrible, but we'll follow it. Yeah, Samson, nice for just keep the YouTube on, hide your edge, makes sense. Waiting for news. Most important for price movement still in until then. Yeah, we have news coming up in 5 minutes, guys. So if this candle closes with a buy signal, we'll have entry. If it doesn't close with a buy signal, then we don't have entry. Right? Because if you guys are looking for the next entry, it's a target entry. We're looking for direction of a buy. I'm not going to force the entry, of course, but we're looking for that buy signal there to come up. If it doesn't come up, no entry because we're going with momentum. Yeah, and like Sam mentioned, we have news in 5 minutes. So if this entry doesn't come up, it's completely fine. We have news coming up shortly. We have one more target entry coming up, a little later. If we do get into this entry, we have to get in and out very quickly in a sense because, okay, no buy signal. So unfortunately, guys, this was the first target entry for the day, 655. We'll follow it, but there's no entry there. So that was our first target entry for the day. I don't know if I could copy this. Let me see. Does it come up right? Yeah, so we have the entry right here at 655. It had a 68.89 weighted average, win rate of 60% overall, 77.77 for buys. That's why we were looking for a buy there. 45.45 for sells. It won two out of the four previous entries, and it's a buy direction. So because we don't have a buy signal here, right? There's no buy signal because it's with momentum. There's no entry there. So it's all good. I was hoping we'd get that one because that was the one that I showed you guys earlier. This one actually has really good statistics. Yeah, so I mean, it would have been nice. But you can see over here, this one has pretty good statistics, right? Max drawdown of less than 10%. It's at 7.51. Profitability, it won 60% of the trades, and the profit factor is 2.251. Let's see. Ryan is asking, where do you find profit factor? So yeah, profit factor is going to be right There's a couple ways to see it, Ryan. You can see it under overview right here. This shows you how many times it wins more than it loses. So it wins 2.251 more times than it loses. And you can see over here, looking at the statistics, it's actually really good. There's like little, very minimal drawdown. Um, and then you can also find it over here under performance, I believe. Is it under performance? It's actually under trade analysis. So you can find it under overview. It'll be right here on the right side, and then also under trade analysis. If you guys understand like, basic math, this kind of it'll make sense to you, right? Because you're having a 2 point, let me see where it's at. Profit factor. Sorry, it's under risk performance ratios. There we go. So it basically shows you that it wins 2.251. So for every loss, you win 2.251. And then same with, you can see over here for the longs and for the sells. So it wins well for both buys and for sells. It wins way more for buys. That's why we were looking for the buy there. But it still wins for sells as well. These are two different ratios that you guys can use as well, Sharp and Sortino. The problem with this is that the sample size is too small, right? We're only using a 20-day sample size. So you're not really going to have quality Sharp or Sortino because this is on a monthly basis. If you were to pull statistics for like a year or a couple of years, then this would make sense because you want it to be above one, but you're not going to have that here because the sample size is less than 20 or 20 or less. So it just wouldn't really work out. Anyways, there's another entry here at the one right after it, 56, that Paul mentioned. Let's see, it's still running right now, I think. Okay, so it's currently still running right now. We have a trade right now that is currently active. This is the 56 entry. So six. And if this is new to you guys, I don't know who here is new or who isn't. All of our entries here, they're based off quantitative data. So I know a lot of you guys are used to trading technical analysis and using discretion and stuff. All of the algo entries here, this is based off of quantitative data, right? We're trading based off the probabilities. So we don't really care about the price action or the technical analysis very much. We're just looking at the probabilities here. If the probabilities line up, then that's why we decide to take these trades. The ones that are highlighted green are target entries because they have the higher percentage of winning, or I mean, just in general, they just have a higher percentage. Um, and that's why we don't really look at like, what the trend is and where the VWAP is and stuff like that. We use it as a confluence, but we don't use those for actual entry. So we currently have this 656 entry running right now. I just want to make sure the statistics are good for this one. So this is 656. It has a max drawdown of 7.41, so that meets criteria for max drawdown. Has a profitability of 55% overall. That meets the win rate percentage. And then over here for profit factor, we need it to be above 1.5. It's at 2.056. So this does meet the criteria and it does meet the minimum requirements there. All right, so that's good. We'll see what happens. The trade's currently running right now. We got another trade running up a little later around in about 5 minutes or so. We got news coming up right here at 7 o'clock. The trade's running pretty nicely. Full TP right there. So 2 wins today so far. So you guys see how like this minimum criteria is really, really helpful because we identified a really good trade off the statistics, right? Max drawdown didn't it loses, but it doesn't lose very often, right? You got to understand the trades are not always going to be winners. But if you can understand that, okay, you have max drawdown, this will show you that you won't be blowing up your account. And then the profitability on this one's good, and then the profit factor is good. So everything here lined up perfect. So, if you guys are looking to list your trades, I think following this minimum criteria is going to be really key. I think to have target entries, this will probably, and let's just, here, I'll just do this again. I'll just make another list here and I'll just make it a little bit more strict. Um, Target criteria, and we'll put max drawdown like maybe 8%. Win rate probably, let's say like 55. Profit factor of 2, right? I think that helps. So, this helps you identify better entries. So like, for example, with this one over here, let me put the statistics. Like the 656, this is where this might have been an okay entry. The only difference with this one here is that it didn't reach the 65% win ratio. But like, going back and like I mentioned, the win ratio is really not that important. The more important stuff is max drawdown and profit factor. The win ratio is just okay because the thing is the trade's going to lose. So, you don't have to worry about losing trades. It's going to lose no matter what. There's always going to be losses. That's why we follow max drawdown equity here. I mean, this was kind of close though. It was 7.41. We had to be closer to 8. I mean, it's like right on the dot basically. But that trade there did win. And, if you took the trade there, great work. So we talked about this before, guys. We're getting better and better at identifying these algo entries and finding better criteria to follow. It's going to take time, but the more and more that we kind of work on this and we improve on our entries, the better. So I'm excited. I'm pretty excited to see what's to what's to come here. Because if we get better and better identifying these entries, it's going to be a huge, huge game changer, of course, which we are getting better. It just takes time for us to improve on this. Yeah, Justice said was tempted to get in two, but this resistance seems strong. Nice. Jonathan took it full TP. Daniel got it full confluence with the MPS V2. CJ said two back-to-back wins on the 10-minute might be done for the day. Solid. Paul said the next entries are against. Yeah, so if they're against, then we're not going to be looking to take them. They're just on the list. Solange said, yeah, I got it. Just like yesterday's, close enough to get to great stats, plus the MPS V2. Rev got the 656. Nice work, Rev. And Masij did plus 8R for the day with another strategy. I'm trying using the algo data. Perfect. So one thing that I talked with Masij about yesterday, or I just kind of mentioned it, was if you want to like buy and hold a position, you can base it off these entries here, right? So for example, at 629, this was with momentum. Uh, right here. Technically, you could have held this position until now. So there's like, for example, the first entry happened at 629. I want to show you guys a list of entries, but I don't want to I don't want to share the edge, of course. But so basically you could have rode this position right here from 629 up until 704, because 704, this is the next entry. It's against momentum. You could have just rode this up until 704 and then close out your position. So you'd make about you'd be up like 160 points. If you guys don't understand what I mean by that, let me show you real quick. So here, I'm going to add this list over here real quick, and we'll just replay. There's no entries coming up right now because they're all against momentum, so I'm not looking to take them at all. But let me just show you guys what I mean about what I had here. So like basically we had the first entry at 629, right? This is with momentum, of course. So at 629, basically once the 629 candle closes, you would take a buy position here, right? You would take a buy position right there. You'd have your stop loss at I like to have like a fixed stop loss at 50 points because that will usually tell me if I'm wrong. And then the next against momentum is at 704 right here. So you basically would just hold the position until 704. See how price pushes up super heavily? And then as we get closer to 704, that's where you would just close out of the position. So price is still running right here, of course. and then we get close to 704. And then once we get to this point at 704, we just close out. That'd be a $7,250 profit. Close position. And you would just basically be out because it's against momentum from here until like maybe 30 minutes from now. So at that point, you would just wait. And then once the with momentum comes back up again later on, then you would just do the same thing, buy it and hold it. You go through like some pullback and stuff like that. If you want to go for a fixed target, you can. You can get outlet for 1 to 2, maybe for 50 to 100, kind of like what CJ is doing. And CJ did take this trade, doing a fixed TP stop loss. But if you wanted to have an open-ended target and just a fixed stop loss, you could have done that and just rode the trade up for like basically 30 minutes. So just something to keep in mind. This is something that you guys might want to look for. So I tested this like about 10 days of trading, and this works. It's profitable most of the days. The problem is because see how this here pulled back? This here is not great because you could have, taken profit right here. Luckily, it came right back up, right? So this was good because it came back up. But the thing is, if you would have, held on to this, you basically would have given away all this profit. I don't think this is going to work well with my trading style or my curiousness because I think this would piss me off, honestly. If I'm up like 100 points and then it comes right back down to like 20 points, I would have been so pissed because I'm like, damn, I should just pulled out at 100. So I don't think this type of trading works for my trading style. I just wouldn't like this because I would, I see this happen a lot where price kind of goes up and then it comes down and you're like you basically gave away 100 points. So I think for me, I would probably use a fixed target, maybe like 100 points. And that's where this becomes a problem because if you don't have an open-ended target, you're not really letting the trades run, right? You're kind of just letting it be for the most part. So just something to keep in mind if you guys have access to my algo and you guys want to use this, what I would say is like, for example, here. So basically from 629 until 704 right here, right? You would just hold on to the buy or ride the trade with momentum. And then you close out of your position at 704. Once 732 comes up again right here, and this is from yesterday, then you take another buy here and then hold it until 8 o'clock. So you go for like those big moves, basically, big moves and just hold on to it long term. If you guys can handle that. Again, like I said, for me personally, I don't think I can handle it because it just doesn't meet it doesn't work for my style of trading. I like to be in and out quickly, or I like to have a fixed target. So just something to keep in mind if that's something that you guys want to play around with. If you guys want to do it, if you guys want to test it like I just did right here, just go back to just go to the replay function, go to whatever day you want to play it, test it on, and just pull up the list of the trades, right? If you want to go back to like December 1st and you're like, okay, I want to try what Sean just taught me or just showed me, you can pull up this date and then run the trades from like 629 to like, obviously 702, 704, close it out, see how much profit you made and then wait for it to for the against momentum to change and then jump back in with momentums right here. So, I'm always coming up with ideas. I'm always trying to figure out ways to pull alpha from the algo. Obviously, if you guys are not familiar with alpha, basically you're trying to pull profits from the market using specific strategy. But there's always alpha decay, right? It doesn't matter what strategy you guys are using, it's unless you have a unicorn status strategy. Like here's the thing here's like a clear example of alpha decay, right? So um, you can see here I had a ton of trades here in October, right? We actually did have some pretty decent trades in November, but I just didn't take trades. But you can see the alpha decay here, right? Because slippage was becoming a problem, so I didn't take as much trades. So there just wasn't as many opportunities. And it just means that your edge is dying out, which it happens. Every strategy has alpha decay. There's no strategy that's going to work 100% of the time all year round. That's why for our algo, we need to have different models to run, right? We have specific models where we just run a fixed TP stop loss. There's specific models where you can have an open-ended target. There's specific models where we use, this criteria. It's just, there's different types of models to run through. So, all right, looking at this so far, there's a couple entries that are against momentum. So there's one right here at 704. Didn't work out, of course. I don't like trading against momentum. One at 716, which is coming up again. It's against momentum. I don't like the against momentum trades. We just have them on the list. So we have them on the list, but they're not being documented as like actual trades because we're not taking the the against momentum entries. Let's see, 656. Did this one come up? Yeah, it did. There's no entry for this one. All right. I'm still documenting them though, so if you guys have the spreadsheet, I'm documenting the spreadsheet as we go. And I'll show you guys the totals later. Sorry, guys, my nose is super plugged up, so I know I sound. Man, I blow my nose. Let's see. Yeah, Masih said, yeah, exactly what I did based on the target entries. It told me price would reverse at 650, exited right at the top of that big move. Nice. Yeah, so Lotto was asking Masih if he's trading funded accounts or private accounts. Yeah, if you're trading with prop accounts, guys, it's going to be hard to eat the drawdown on the open-ended trades. But that's why I set a fixed stop loss of 50 points. So if you get to that point, it just cuts you out. You're taking one contract, that's just $250, so it's not that bad. Obviously, if you're taking big contract sizes, it's going to really eat into your account. So the open-ended model, I don't think it works well with prop accounts unless you're using like a really, really small contract size. It's more so on accounts that you can kind of just let breathe. Because yeah, the drawdown is it'll destroy you, honestly. And it's like for example, you're just like showing you how price moved. Because the thing is like your trailing drawdown would eat into your account so badly. So the entry started right here. It pushed up 142 points. If you went from drawdown from this high point, you'd be in drawdown about 140 points. So like for example, if you were to do the math, 140 points, right? If you just did one contract, you're perfectly fine. One times five times 40, 140, you'd be drawn down of 700. But if you want to go heavier, like say 10 contracts, yeah, your drawdown would be 7,000. You'd be blown out of the water, basically. Because with or actually, no, you'd still survive it, but you'd probably get pretty screwed because I think it's 7,500 max, right? For a 300K. Yeah, exactly. Masij said, yeah, 50 is not bad, just less contract size. Yeah, Daniel, exactly. You just have to go really small in the contract size if you want to go for those open-ended targets. Like you probably have to use like a 1 to 3 contract size. Profit's not going to be as much, but I mean, your drawdown's also not going to be as much either. All right, guys, we got let's see. So the news came up at 7 o'clock. There's ISM Services PMI, positive news. Then we have gas stock change at 7:30. We have one target entry left for the day. Um, gonna see what the numbers are looking like over here. All right, so the numbers here aren't horrible. Yeah, they're not horrible. They're all right. Well, I mean, they're good. Profit factor is a little lacking. It's not above 2, but it's okay. You guys can see the drawdown here is not horrible. It's like a 6.779 drawdown. The profit factor is not going to be the end all be all, but we'll obviously we'll see when we get there. Yeah, we'll see when we get there. Sorry, guys, I'm just having a side combo right here real quick. There's nothing to look at right now anyways. There's an entry coming up shortly. It's against momentum, not one I would take, but if you guys want to take it, if you guys do have access to the algo entries, they are listed. So there's one coming up in a bit. I'll just tell you guys it's coming up at 716. I don't care because it's against momentum, but if you guys do want to take the trade, we're on the 716 candle. Actually, it's going to be a no entry. It's for a sell. So looking at the algo entry for the 716, it's going to be against momentum. It has a weighted probability of 63.34. It has an overall probability of 60. It has a buy percentage probability of 54.55. It has a sell probability of 66.67. It's won three out of the previous four entries, and it's you're obviously going to be looking for a sell because the probabilities are higher. They're pretty balanced though, so you might be able to go for a buy here if you wanted to. Technically, if you wanted to take the entry, it would be for a buy. But what we have listed on the list is for a sell because the probabilities are a little bit higher. They're about like 10 points, a 10-point higher on the sell side versus the buy side. But I mean, again, if you guys want to take that trade, it's really up to you if you want to take it. So technically it'd be a no entry, but if you guys want to take it again, you can take it for a buy there. It's not a big problem. Trade's currently running right there. It's not one I would take. Obviously, it's against momentum, but that is kind of what you would be looking for. If you were just taking the trade against momentum without the regard to probabilities for direction. Market's kind of flat right now. It's a little dead. All right, so that entry I just marked up, guys, is currently running. It's taking a while for it to push up. Obviously, volatility here is kind of flat. It's kind of dying out. But it is running right there at the 716 entry. If you guys were looking to take that against momentum, whether it wins or whether it loses, I'm not taking it, of course. I mean, it's not going to be documented, but I just put it there. Um, I just put it there just because, so you guys can follow it. So the thing is, these against momentum trades, they're not bad, but from the data, they usually don't work out as well. Because the thing is, like, we're trying to go with momentum, not against it. That's the whole premise of the algo. We're chasing momentum for the most part, or we're identifying momentum before it happens, based on the quantitative data. So if you're going to go against momentum, you're kind of fading momentum in a sense, right? Which is what you don't want to do. Um, but obviously, if you guys want to take it, it's available to you guys. I did have listed on there. It's still good to have the against momentum listed because it gives you an idea of like where price is likely to turn. So we'll still have them listed on the list of trades, but obviously I'm not taking those specific trades there. Let me scroll over here real quick. So let's see, question from iPhone. iPhone said you don't have to read this question out loud if you don't want to, but the target entry is 2 minutes. Yeah, I would still take it. So the news at 6:30 or 7:30 is gas stock change iPhone. It's not really high impact. So I'm going to be taking that if it comes up. Hopefully it comes up, but if it doesn't, I'll be looking to take it regardless. Yeah, Masij said unusual low volume for a Wednesday. Yeah, the volume here is really low. Let me just mark up some market structure here. It's not super necessary that you guys have this market structure marked up, but it's good to kind of see and have an idea of like where price is going, right? It's just good to have. It's not necessary, but it's good to just have an idea of like where it's pushing to, where it's not pushing to. All right, so we got price kind of going back and forth. You see the market structure here, price kind of pushed down, pushed back up. Now it's kind of sitting around this area. This 716 entry is still currently running. It's taking a while for it to push up, but it looks like it's going to be a good entry. I mean, it hasn't pulled into drawdown very much, so it's looking like if it can get above this resistance, it can keep pushing up higher. Again, it has trouble getting past this area, but we'll kind of see where it ends up going. Paul's in that 717 entry. Nice. Okay. CJ said market's moving like it just had a full feast and now is now going to take a nap in its recliner. It's slow, right? It's really slow for a Wednesday. Um, so it's surprisingly slow right now. Let's see. Lamar said a surprise to market data this morning. They traded my live Ninja Trader account, but it shows delayed. Lamar, try logging out, logging back in. If you haven't logged out or logged back in, that's why, because you need to log out and then log in on yours. Yeah, it says delayed right there. So make sure, yeah, try logging out, logging back in. That'll usually fix it. It usually tells you that. So when you buy the data, it says log out, log in of your account. So if you haven't done that, try that first. If that doesn't fix it, then you might have purchased the wrong data. That might be the case. I mean, I don't know for sure, but that could possibly be the case. Uh, yeah, because you're on the right contract, December. So yeah, try logging out, logging in first. If that doesn't work, let me know. And then, I mean, your next thing that I would think of would be you either bought the wrong data. You would need CBOT. So CBOT's for, I mean, CBOT or CME. If you have the CME bundle, then it has all the data there. But if you just bought CBOT, might have been the wrong one. But I think it should fix it. I think you should be good, Lamar. All right, so that trade's coming up right here, guys, or not coming up. It's almost hitting its target. So what we notice here a lot is when the trade doesn't go into drawdown, it usually hits. It might take a while, but it usually hits for the most part. So like for example here, it didn't go into drawdown at all. So it's just probably gonna hit. It's just gonna be a matter of time until it does. Volatility is just really low right now. ATR is currently at 21. It's a little slow, but we actually like it. We don't really hate this low volatility. The low volatility is actually it's a good thing because there's going to be less slippage for the entries. It's almost right there to its target, and it hit full TP right there. So if you guys took that trade right there, that was the 716 full TP. Um, yeah, whether you took the 716 or 717, they both hit. So there was two back-to-back entries right there. There's one right here at 716, which we marked up, and then the one that Paul took at 717 hit as well. So like we talked about earlier, guys, the against momentum isn't necessarily bad. It just has a lower probability of it winning because you're going against momentum. If you are going to take an against momentum type trade, I would wait for the second or third entry because the first one is usually going to be the turnaround period. So right here at 704, it turned around and then it turned right back around the other way. Because the first one happened right here, this would have been a loss. I mean, it would have been technically a win, but because it was so choppy, it stopped out before it came down. And then these over here, it came down and it swung right back up. Sam said, made me sweat. Yeah, nice work on catching those MPSV2s, Sam. Yeah, Paul said same pan out as yesterday. That took at 9 a.m. Nice. Yeah, Masish said no drawdown, but slow movement means TP tap. Yeah, blasted right through it too. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, if you got the CME bundle, you should have access to it, Lamar. Yeah, just talk to support and we'll get that sorted out for you. They should. Nice. Jonathan said full TP, 2 wins for the day. Nice work, Jonathan. Solid profit on there. Paul said, let's go finally hit target. Perfect. Masih said break a structure, by the way, broke a major resistance. Okay, good. So good to know we have confidences right there as price pushes up. This may be a continuation up higher. The target entry, I don't know if this will come up, guys. I don't know if it'll come up. It is it is the problem is that it's going to be against the current direction, right? So we need to have a reversal happen over here in order for us to have that entry. Like, I don't know if we're gonna get that reversal anytime soon. We'll see. Man, freaking, like I said, this is frustrating. It's been frustrating last month. It's frustrating this week. Um, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing, but it's just frustrating because I'm looking for these entries here and the entries aren't coming up. And it's just, man, I wish an entry would come up, but of course, I'm not trying to force it. And I'm also not trying to go against my criteria here. So we'll see. I mean, after this specific entry right here, if it doesn't come up, we have a couple entries right here at 742, or sorry, I said the fucking number. We have a couple entries over here coming up a little later after, the next one, which which are potential. So if you look at the algo list that I sent out, guys, or on the spreadsheet actually, not necessarily on the Discord, but on the spreadsheet, I put potential entry, I think, right? Yeah, I put potential for the last three entry points. Um, I put potential there because they meet the criteria here of what I showed you guys with the max drawdown, win rate, profit factor. I think we need to step away from the win rate, really. I mean, we don't need to step away from it, but I think this is probably the least important factor, right? I think win rates, we've been focusing mainly on the win rate lately, and yeah, we've been focusing mainly on the win rate, and I feel like a lot of people they're kind of focused on win rate mostly too, because it is a good criteria, but for the most part, the win rate's not super important. I mean, it's important to an extent, but it's not super, super important. Like, because the trade's going to lose sometimes, right? So obviously the win rate's going to fluctuate. I think this is where it becomes a problem, right? When it gets really close, like for example, if you're at 648, like this is at like 63%, right? Like we're pretty close to reaching that 65 threshold, but it's not there yet. Like same with these over here, right? This is 63.634. Like this could have been a pretty good entry because the across the board it looked good, but obviously it'd be skipped because it doesn't meet that criteria. So we'll see. We don't necessarily have to move away from the win rate completely, but I think I'm going to put more emphasis on max drawdown and profit factor. The max drawdown so that we know that we won't blow the account or we shouldn't be blowing the account, but we know for sure like this trade doesn't really lose that often. And these will probably go hand in hand with each other. And then obviously profit factor because you want it to win more than it loses, of course. So just something to keep in mind. We do have the target entry coming up shortly, guys. I don't know if it'll come up. We need to have a sell signal here in place in order for us to take that entry. I don't see a pending sell signal here at all, so I don't know if this will be the case. Nice. Paul said, I now have recovered my account at 1K positive from the base. Nice work, Paul. It's a quick recovery that you had there. Let me see. I just saw your message. Yeah, I know. We leaked the one time. No biggie. Um, but yeah, congrats, Paul. So Paul, you guys probably know Paul from a while because Paul's been here for some time. Paul actually was with us. Were you around during COVID, Paul? Paul's kind of come and gone. I'm glad you made your way back, Paul, because I could tell you want to trade. Um, it's like a little backstory to Paul. I think you were trading with me in 2021. So like post COVID, Paul joined the group. He was doing pretty good initially, and then obviously accounts were blown as usual. And then Paul had to like, find his way around and get back to work, I think, right? You started working a regular job and then you finally came back to trading years later, which is great. I'm glad to see. Sometimes people just need a little bit of a break. It's to get yourself out of that toxic mindset. I think this is a mindset that a lot of people go into, right? They do well. And I've drawn this kind of diagram. I'm not going to draw it right now, but basically people do well and we'll see. Like these are like there's no trade right now, guys. There was a trade right here at 732. It's for a sell and there's no sell momentum. So we're skipping that to no entry. But anyways, this is like the trader fallacy cycle, right? Everybody goes through this cycle. It's like do well trading or learn trading, do well trading, market conditions change, experienced losing slow month, um, doubt strategy, change strategy, blown account, and then reset basically. This happens with a lot of people, right? I feel like this happens with majority of people here. It's like you start to learn trading or you join a group, right? Say, for example, you join this group. You start to learn trading, you start to do well in the beginning. Market conditions change. They always change from season to season. People don't understand that, right? It goes from like falls where it's volatile, winter where it slows down, spring where it's volatile, summer where it slows down. It's like back and forth. That's why not all strategies work during like all types of markets. And then what happens is, you experience a losing or slow month and then you doubt your strategy, you change your strategy, you end up blowing your account. If you would have just stuck to your strategy, like say for example, if you would have just removed a couple things here, if you just would have, removed this right here, you'd be fine because your strategy would just stop working for a while and then it would just go back to working again. Or work to some extent. This is why it's important that you guys understand when to sit out of the market, right? Because, like, for example, looking at my November results, I could have had a lot of losing trades here and I could have thrown away a lot of profits. I took only a few trades here. I'm still profitable, so it's not that bad. These are my overall stats for the year. Obviously, you guys have seen, you know, I'd rather have a slow or flat month versus a losing month, right? Because you can see over here, like, I was still able to retain majority of my profits without taking a lot of trades, but I've seen a lot of people in November kind of blow accounts because they're changing strategies so often. So yeah, I mean that's just how it is sometimes. Unfortunately, that's just the case. Um, what I would say, and it doesn't matter what strategy you guys are applying, you know, just stick to your strategy. If your strategy works and you have an edge, there's going to be some months where it's slower, it's where it's losing. And then if you just stick to it, but you have to have a real edge. You can't just be blindly taking a strategy that you don't know if it actually works. That's why it's important that you guys use the quantitative data if you guys do have it to have understanding that, in the long term, the strategy should and will work. So that's where the psychology comes in and it really eats into the trader. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's how it is with everybody. Let's see. Paul said, "May I take the mic, Sean?" Yeah, sure. So here, I'll give you the mic for like a few moments because we do have a trade coming up in a bit, but I'll give it to you. So let's see. Paul, let's make you how do I do that? Okay, there you go, Paul. Let's mute myself.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? No, CJ, I'm not about to do that. But yeah, guys, like he said, I actually started trading with Sean around like think like late spring of 2021, and then I failed so many times. I think I blew like over 10 of the evaluation accounts until I finally won one, and then I got too excited. I kept revenge trading. I blew that account, so that was the second funded account I blew. So that's why I just gave up trading because I just got tired of the losing streak. So I went back to my old job. I worked more morning shifts. I got back into I worked more of my second job of umpiring because I still love doing that. And I paid off a bunch of debt. And then, like, fast forward to now, I've been married for 2 years. I have a son, and my wife and I talk about having another baby. So I think that's probably because my main motivation to get into trading basically was I wanted to be free and just had not have money be a problem. But I think now that I'm in a new position that my motivation was lacking, which is why I was losing so much. But now I have a real motivation. I have a purpose. And to another thing too, I've actually been in college for over a year. I'm going for accounting and business administration. So I want to learn the financial aspects of a bunch of companies. But I mean that's my main backstory. So yeah, like I think what was his name? Oh yeah, Rev. He said his biggest challenge was revenge trading. That was my problem too because I hated losing so much. I had to accept losses are part of the strategy. But I think because the old scalping strategies were the risk to reward was 3 to 1, and now they're minimum 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, which I personally like better. Where if I lose one, if I won one before and I lose one, I'm still net positive. So I'm glad to see how much has changed because I have been watching from the sideline and I've been contemplating coming back to this. And since I'm closing more at my job right now, and during my off season, I thought I'd try getting back into this and see how it goes. But that is my backstory. I'll go ahead and stop there.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, good to hear that from Paul. Paul's a lot of people here in the group have been here for a while and they've come and gone, and Paul's kind of stuck around for a bit. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that too, Paul. I mean, the whole reason I got into trading is so I could leave my job and pretty much hang out with my dogs all day, right? I achieved that, and now I have a kid as well myself, so I have other responsibilities. That's what kind of that's what kind of pushed me towards opening the hedge fund and really moving towards quant style trading. Because the thing is, if you have the quant data in front of you and you know the strategy and you know that it works, it gives you peace of mind, right? Just like you said, like same with risk to reward. If you have the quant data and it shows you that the strategy works more than it doesn't, and you can just trust to take the entry, it's a lot better than trading, blindly. I feel like that's like one of the big things. Yeah, Ref said trying to get a payout trading so it covers case. Yeah, no, hopefully you get one soon. Rev, Karen, I think you're here right now, right, Karen? Let's see. Or she might have gotten off already, but Karen just got her first payout. She's been trading with me as well, just like same time as you. Um, both you guys, Rev and Paul. She got her very first payout ever last week. So big congrats to Karen over there. She's been grinding it out. She finally, I think now that I've implemented this algo to you guys, a lot of you guys are more confident with your entries and you're able to just let the trades, take the trades and understand that losses are bound to happen and you can just let the trades kind of play themselves out, which is what I'm doing too. Like when the entry comes up, I'm just taking it, right? So, yeah, the 632, I think there was no entry there, or 732. There's nothing there because we were looking for a sell. Another day, another day of no entries. God, this is so anno I mean, it's annoying, but like I said, I got to follow the strategy as is. Uh, I just realized that was my last target entry. There's another entry coming up that's a potential entry, but it's not going to be unless we get a buy signal here. There's not going to be an entry there. Oh, man, I just realized I was waiting for these later entries, but I just realized that all my target entries are over. So I think Missy, you had a question, or you mentioned something over here as well. Um, CJ said. You didn't rap, Paul, but you did drop bars like Tony Robbins. Yeah, no, it's always good to see, people getting better and understanding like how to improve. That's just really what it is with trading. It's like I'm sure a lot of you guys go through those phases, but if you can get around it, it's the key thing. Yeah, I think moving forward, guys, I might just change the criteria to this instead of following specific directions and whatnot. Um, or I mean, we don't have to, but let's see. So this 732 entry right here. Yeah, because if you look over here at the 732 entry, if we took the buy here, this actually would have worked out, right? If I didn't have that set to sells only, of course, right? Trade would have worked out right there, or I think it would have. I don't know. Yeah. So trade would have worked out right there at 732. Unfortunately, like there's just no entry because we were looking for a sell specifically. We're getting towards the end of the session, so I'll just share my algo entries now. I don't think it's a big deal anymore because obviously market's going to be, or we're pretty much done with the entries. We have these other entries that are down here, but they're not super important because they're not target. But yeah, the 732 entry, like for example, if we would have taken that one right there, I mean, the trade technically would have hit, looks like. It didn't meet the profit factor criteria though. So this probably wouldn't have been a target entry. It'd be a listed entry, but not a target entry. Let's take a look at the this one right here, 742. Let me just check the statistics real quick. Again, this might be a listed entry, but not a target entry. In order for it to be a target entry, it has to meet all the criteria. Okay, so this does look like it meets the criteria there for the most part. So 742, which is where we're currently at, entry, it has a max drawdown of less than 8%, win ratio of 55 overall, not weighted, and then the profit factor is 2.431. So you can see for this specific strategy, it does have, I mean, meets the overall criteria. Looking over here at the buys and sells, obviously the buys here work better than the sells. So I mean, I think this is probably going to be like the biggest thing that we have to decide whether we want to trade with a specific direction or if we're okay with just going with overall, right? So if that was the case, the trade's actually running right now. So this is the trade if you were to take it. We had a buy direction here, so this would have been skipped. But if you would have just taken it with momentum, because we had a sell momentum right here. I mean, the trade's currently running, so we're following it as we speak. Technically, there's no entry there. I mean, technically because it just doesn't meet the criteria, but it looks like the trade here is running pretty nicely. Yeah, Masish said I also think people, when they first learn the basics, which is really all you need to win a lot, then you win more. So you try to learn new strategies, then you lose a bunch because you're overcomplicating it. Same with overfitting. Yeah, like you said, and you blow everything. That's where the 1% of day traders are profitable stats come from. Yeah. If you just stick to like one thing, right? And one basic thing at that. Yeah, Ryan said the one right after fades the next one. Yeah, so that's one thing too, Ryan, that I was talking about, right? So I don't like when these trades, like when we have a specific direction because they fade each other, right? So I think that's another thing that I don't like about having a specific direction because you're going to have them fade each other a lot of times. Like for example, over here, this is kind of what throws me off with the against momentums. is that you have a specific direction, for a buy here, then you have a sell, then you have a buy. It's like, okay, which direction do you actually want to follow, right? Do you want to follow the buys? Do you want to follow the sells, or do you want to follow the buys down here? So, yeah, I think this is where, well, I mean, obviously, we'll have the data once we have the data. I got to talk to Masij about that to get to get the data started. Um, Whatever provides a higher, I guess, profit factor and max drawdown will probably be what we follow, right? If it shows that we have better max drawdown, better profit factor with following with the direction, we'll do that. If it's better to just, get rid of the weighted and the direction altogether and just follow overall, then we can go with that too. Here's an example of what I just talked about earlier with Masij, right? See how the momentums here are starting to overlap? It's not a good thing, right? We don't really like to see stuff like that. So, actually looking at this right here, this would be a trade that we would skip out on, Masij. I'm looking back at it right now because we just talked about this earlier, right? We wanted to have a three momentum, basically three candles between each momentum. And looking at these right here, these were back to back. So I think this is one of those trades where we would have been in the position, but then as soon as I saw this sell signal here close, I probably would have just closed out of the position and for a small profit. And you guys can see right here, it's very, very choppy, right? See all these, there's another momentum here which is currently pending. Yeah, this shows you that, okay, this is probably not a good time to take an entry because we're having a choppy market, right? Market's just going sideways. So that might be another filter that we have to add in the future, of course, to avoid this type of, like in a situation like this, I'd rather just get out for a slight profit than to have to risk taking a loss in a situation like this. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like these momentums are fine. They're spread out by like five or four candles, right? These are fine. This is about like 10 candles. This is like 20 candles. But when you start to get this choppiness where you get momentums right after each other like this, it's better to just get out of the market because in this point, in this situation, you might get screwed, right? You're kind of doing it's a coin toss at this point. Um, but yeah, so this entry right here was the 743, and then like I said earlier, this is where it starts to kind of fade it a little bit because price can really go either way. So, all right, Masij. So Masij should already heading out. Looking forward to talking later this week about the second stage of our deep back test. Also, Sean, if you want, I can help you set up your stream so that you can show target entries on the stream while at the same time it doesn't show to YouTube. You can set it up so that you can have very specific things showing on YouTube and Zoom. Yeah, I mean, if you have something, if you can kind of explain it to me, or you have a video or something to show me, Missy, that'd be great. I mean, I was just gonna, I was gonna run two different streams at the same time, but yeah, if you have that or you want to show that to me, that'd be great. Um, what I might do as well, so like thinking about like moving forward with the streams, guys, what we might do is I might have two streams running. And then I'm gonna have like this the Zoom stream just like it's gonna be unlisted and it'll be listed after the live session's done. So like you just wouldn't have it during, live session time. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I don't think it's really big importance right now, but yeah, if you have anything that can help me with that, I think that'd be good. Asish, appreciate that. Let's see. Paul said, yeah, Paul has an idea. If the overall bias is one direction and a good trade is in the opposite direction, change it to 1 to 1. Yeah, that's another thing too to look at. And yeah, Masich, yeah, that'd be a skip. Yeah, CJ said that's why I never paid attention to the buy or sell direction because it becomes too convoluted. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Rev said, yeah, squeezing momentum is a sign to stay out of the market. Ask me how I know. Yeah, no, it's something we've seen in the past. Like this isn't something new, right? Like initially, before we even had the algo and we just traded based off momentum, when you see momentum kind of overlap like this, a lot of times we would just pull out. So looking at market right here, see how choppy it is? At this point right here, I probably I would just pull out. I mean, even in a situation like this, even if I didn't have the momentum kind of overlapping like that, if you guys have traded with me over the years, you guys know that once it starts to become choppy like this, we usually just pull out for a slight profit, right? I would have moved my target super close and just be pulled out already. It's just we're trading off momentum, and if there's no momentum there, there's no point in holding on to the position, praying that it comes down. And I'm sure you guys have done that before. You guys have been in a position, it's been super choppy, and you're literally praying for it to go to your target. And then as soon as you least expect it, it kind of just spikes, right? Because that's what's happening here. Price is squeezing. If you guys are not familiar with like this, it's a basic price action concept. When price starts to squeeze like this, and it starts to set up a triangle or a pennant or whatever you want to call it, it's going to break out either way, right? It's either going to break out to the upside or it's going to break out to the bottom side. And when that happens, you're kind of taking a big risk because it's like, would you rather just take a partial profit or would you rather take the risk of it, blowing one way or the other? So yeah, definitely. Rev said, CJ, I want to do a test account like you're doing. What is the criteria you're using from the algo list when not the open and not 702? Yeah, I think that's like the main stuff CJ's following, right, CJ? It's really like um the opening trade and then 702 usually. Thing is, 702 used to be a really good trade at some point. So again, guys, here's another example of why I said it's better to just close out for a slight profit than to hold on to it. Obviously, I wouldn't want to fade anybody's trade here, but this is just, it's a clear example of like why you should be out of the position rather than holding on to it. Yeah, Sam said, I think if I know it's that you are not about losing, which is where the psychology comes. You should get rid of everything on the chart. Trust your algo only. Yeah, and I agree with you, Sam, 100% on that too. Yeah, and like I think like the trend here, I mean the trend is useful, but it's not really it kind of it sways your bias, right? Which is not a problem, but it's just, it's an additional factor. All right, so let me take this off. I don't want you guys to think I'm in the position. I just wanted to show you guys that in a situation like this is where you just not get into it or you just pull out of it for a small profit in a sense. Um, you still have to be reactive to your entries here. I know a lot of times you want to just hold on to it, but when you see stuff like this, I think so. See how market here started to go sideways? You would have already known to pull out right here because of the overlapping momentum. But if you would have held on to it, price could have gone your way or it could have went opposite of you. Unfortunately, again, today, this is another day with just no entries for the most part. Um, Here, let me see. I'll just put, I think the 717 was a winner from earlier today, or 716 actually. So I'll just put win, no trade, no entry. Basically, no entry for everything that happened later. Right. Let me just I want to double check it to make sure before I put no entry on here. I'm updating the spreadsheet right now. So let's see, 742. It was with momentum or 742. So 742 actually would have been a loss, it looks like. I mean, it wouldn't be a target entry, but it'd be a loss. So I'm just gonna put this here. I want to make sure that we have all of the data here properly listed. Oh no, sorry. Okay, there's no entry there actually. I just realized there'd be no entry because this was for a buy, of course. So this is 742. So there'd be no entry there. Um, 743. Or actually, so looking at this right here, guys, the 740, this is what we were just talking about, right? So the 742 right here, um, After this overlap right here, we would have just pulled out for profit because I mean the back and forth. The 743 now, let me just see that. That's with momentum. It was for a sell. Same situation. So 743, which would be this lower candle right here, we had a buy signal and then it overlapped with a sell signal there. So again, that'd be another pull out for a slight profit. Either way, this wouldn't have worked out because there's a buy momentum there and it was for a sell. So if we're going off the previous, statistics or our criteria, it would still be a no entry. And then let me check the 744. This right here was going to be a buy, 744. So again, right here, this, you know, so because of this like choppiness with the momentum, this right here, they basically would be no entries, all of them, because this would be a buy, there would be no entry because it would be a sell. This would be a sell, there's a buy signal, so that'd be no entry. And then 744 again right here, this would be a buy, right? And there's or this one actually would have came up because there's a buy momentum, but once that sell momentum would have came out, we would have just skipped it. But this one actually here would have played out. So overall, today was actually a really good day. If you look at the statistics, again, it just depends on like what criteria you're looking at. If you wanted to look in the direction of the trade, you could have, but um, I mean, it's so messy right here that there'd be so much confusion. Let me just take off the pivots real quick so I could kind of clean this up a little bit. Okay, so now it makes a little more like you could kind of see it a little better. So looking over here at 742, there's going to be no entry. The reason for no entry is because it was for a buy and there was no buy signal here, right? So no entry. 743, this is for a sell. There's a buy signal right here. So, um, I mean, again, it'd be another messed up entry in a sense. 744, which is going to be the next one right here. Again, I wouldn't have taken it because of the overlap right here, but if you're looking at the 744, it's for a buy. And there's a buy signal right here. So you guys can see how messy it got right here for these last three entries. But overall, if you would have just taken the entries as is, as listed here, this is what the statistics would have looked like for the day. So 3 wins, 0 losses. It was for a 6R. So there's just one entry there. The last one that was actually um, listed. So we got that right there. I'll show you guys a spreadsheet right now. Unfortunately, man, this is really starting to be kind of annoying with there being no entries, but I mean, it is what it is, right? I can't change the fact that there's just no entries around these times. But overall, today was actually a good day with all the entries. So let me go and pull up the spreadsheet for you guys here now. Here's a spreadsheet with all the algo entries. Um, I can show you now because the day's over, but scrolling down right here. So here are the statistics for today. So this is Wednesday, December 3rd, which is today, of course. We had the 629 entry, which came up. It was a win for 2R. 655, this was no entry. 656, this was a win for 2R. 704, this would have been a loss against momentum. 716, this would be a win. 717, this would be a win. Again, we're not documenting the against momentums because we're not taking them, but I just wanted to put them on there if you guys were curious to see how they were working. Today would have been a good day for the against momentums. They actually would have won. And then a bunch of no entries right here for 732, 742, 742, 732, 743. And then the last one over here at 744, this would be an entry for a buy. So it was a 6R today. If you took every entry that was listed, I'll have to pull the data to see if I want to change the criteria. Um, Ideally, I think it'd be good. I think it'd be good to use the criteria that we're using here, right? To use a criteria and not really care about the specific direction of the trade. So I'll probably list it the same way, but we're probably not going to follow it. You'll probably see the target entries are going to look a little different because of the criteria change. But they're probably going to align the same way. So Yeah, like I said, I think the 744 would be the only one that came up. But yeah, if you guys want to see the, or I mean, this is only available to people with the algo, but if you guys want to see the spreadsheet here, we have all the trades listed for November so far. I'll keep it updated as we go, obviously. But so far this week has been pretty good. So this is from Monday up until today. Monday we had a -1 R. Yesterday we had a +3 R. And Wednesday today we had a +6 R. So we're currently up about 8 R for the week if you took every trade. For the target entries, it's currently up 2 R for the day so far. It's just the opening entry which would have came up. So we had one win, one loss on Monday. That was a +1 R. Yesterday we had one loss at 732. That's a -1 R. And then today there was a win on open, which was a 2 R. Obviously, I don't take the opening trade. If you just went against, with the other trades, there's just no entries. It's another sort of slow week in a sense. Yeah, I mean it sucks. On this Monday, we were trying to get into this trade right here, but unfortunately we didn't get into it. We couldn't get a fill with the limit order, but overall, I mean, the algo is doing what it's supposed to, right? The probability and profitability here is good overall. It's just there's no entries today. So yeah, Sam said I said get rid of everything because I believe the algo does that for you. Also, I think as a trader, amazing is to decide if you want to apply the algo today or not based on the volatility, news, market conditions, etc. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Sam. So that's probably gonna be something that I look at and we take into consideration. Let's see. Let's see if there's any other questions here before we continue on and wrap this up for the day. So Paul said I'm in a buy. CP is the last swing high. Do you have a website for fundamentals? Um, so not specifically fundamentals, Paul. I would probably say just use, honestly, for myself, I do have fundamentals, but I don't post them up as much as I used to. I used to post up the daily bias, right? I think that was the main thing I used to post up. I don't really post it up anymore, but, um, the daily outlooks, I would have something like this. Oops. Of course, you make me download it. I used to post up my daily outlooks. I don't really do it anymore. If you want to do it, I can give you the prompt and you can put it on ChatGPT. I used to post this up, but the thing is nobody ever used them, so I just don't post them up anymore. And it was just a lot of work to kind of put this together. So if you want to get something like this, I can give you the prompt for it if you know how to use ChatGPT. I don't think it's very necessary though, because if you're trading based off the algo, the fundamentals shouldn't have an effect on it at all. Because we're trading based off the data. So if you want to use fundamentals, you can use it. I don't think it's going to affect you with short-term trading very much. If you're day trading or swing trading, it'll you could be useful to you. But if you're trading off the 1 minute, the fundamentals are not going to make a difference for you. The only thing you would want to look at would be the news for the day, right? I think that's the only thing. If you want this here, the economic calendar, this is like the main fundamentals I would say to use. But the actual fundamentals, they're kind of irrelevant in a sense. Here, I'll post that link there for you. Yeah, the economic calendar. So you can see what's coming up, but the bigger picture of fundamentals, it's pretty irrelevant for like if you're only trading between 6:30 and 8, like what we're doing here, it's pretty irrelevant because the movements are so small and they're so isolated that whatever happens is you can't really you won't be fast enough to really react to the fundamentals in a sense that I think you're trying to use. But yeah, the fundamentals are good for swing trading and more of a long-term trading style, not really short-term. All right, guys, I think that might be it for the day. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, again, guys, no live trading session tomorrow. I'll be traveling, but I'll be back on Friday to close out the week. So. All right, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Otherwise, great day today for you guys overall. If you guys took all of the trades or any of the trades, really, they came out pretty nice. 6 R for the day overall, and 2 R for the day for target entries. Again, like I said, I'm going to be adjusting the criteria a little bit with my list to this. and more of a directional type entry with not specific emphasis on direction. But all right, guys, that's it. If you guys have any questions, hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here on Friday as we close out the trading week. So, all right, guys, have a good